Hi people and welcome to my thoughts on the Modern Warfare 2 PlayStation Beta. Now the Modern Warfare 2 Beta has recently dropped in the version of the PS4 first weekend beta, and today I'm going to just basically give you my thoughts on it and how the game feels and plays compared to like last year with Vanguard and maybe it's Modern Warfare 2019. I have been playing it a little bit, not as much as I'd like to, but that then gives you a little bit of an insight of what I think to it. Make sure to like and subscribe to see way more Modern Warfare 2 content coming this year. Now in this video I'm going to be going through various different parts of the Modern Warfare 2 beta. For example, I'm going to look at the new features, some weapons, some maps. I'm also going to look at the issues, the glaring issues, not so glaring issues in the game that should be addressed by Infinity Ward and by the community in general. Some of them will be way more obvious than others, and some of them people will have mentioned on Twitter maybe or in other YouTube videos, but we'll just see. So we're going to start with some new features introduced within this year's game. To start off with, we're going to have a look at the new Gunsmith. Now the Gunsmith isn't too dissimilar to what it was in Modern Warfare 2019 and in incarnations like Cold War and in Vanguard. Now the new part of the Gunsmith comes in the weapon leveling and how you unlock weapons. Now, it's really hard to explain how it works. I'm going to link a video in the description and probably on the screen as to what you should be watching to understand how it works, or you could just play it for yourself and see. With the fact that, like, for example, the M4 has different variations, not blueprints, but completely different variations of gun. For example, you can have the M16, which is a variation of the M4, the FSS Hurricane, which is a variation of the M4, and those all coincide with different weapon classes, like the battle rifles, like the SMGs, and even snipers. Now, this new weaponsmith isn't too difficult to get a hold of. It's really easy to understand once you get used to it, but it might be a little bit jarring for people that have maybe skipped Vanguard and things like that, but it's a little bit new. But I wouldn't say this is a bad feature. I think it's quite nice, it's new, it's fresh. It's not too dissimilar from what we already know with the Gunsmith introduced in 2019, so I think it's a nice new addition to the game. Now we're going to move on to the perk system. Now the perk system has seen a little bit of an update within the past few years with the removal and the addition of pro perks in certain games and the removal. Now, as we know so far, it looks like pro perks aren't coming to this year's game because of the way they have changed the perk system. Now, this is really a feature that did not need to be changed. This is actually kind of a similar situation to the perk system in Call of Duty Zombies in Black Ops 4. Do not fix what is not broken. There was no glaring issues wrong with the perk system in every Call of Duty game. The perk system has never changed in Call of Duty. This year, you get to pick 2 perks at the start of a game. And then throughout the game that progresses, you can then unlock a further 2 perks, which leaves you with 4 perks by the end of the game. Now, this could be accelerated with the amount of kills you're getting in a game or the amount of objectives you're doing in the game. It's not a bad system, and it's kind of cool actually. It's, it gives incentive for the player to move around, get kills, play the game properly, not sit around and camp and, do nothing. It's an alright, but it doesn't need to be changed. I would say this was probably a bad change because, it just doesn't need to exist. What they really need to have done is look at some of the perks and see which ones needed to be nerfed, buffed, whatever. Ghost. Things like Battle Hardened from Modern Warfare 2019 really need to be buffed. Things like that really needed to be changed, but alas, they have changed the perk system. Now, one big change that people have obviously noticed in the Modern Warfare 2 beta and in the COD Next event, and they mentioned it multiple times over, there is no more slide cancelling. Now, I believe that slide cancelling created a skill gap between the casual player that maybe has hopped on for 1 or 2 games a day in, well, whether it be multiplayer or whether it be Warzone, or someone that sits and plays it quite a lot, maybe as a content creator or is just enjoys playing the game. Not being able to slide cancel anymore kind of makes the game feel a little bit slower in a way. It kind of forces you to have a bit slower movements, maybe it's ADS round corners instead of flyby with a big slide cancel or something like that. Again, instead of the slide cancelling, it seems like it kind of feels, what I've heard from some people, is feel like the movement speed is a little bit faster, and obviously you can still do things like slide, but instead of slide cancelling where you could stop the slide and maybe then get up, sprint, slide, stop, sprint, slide, then now you have to commit to the full slide. And they've also kind of nerfed the slide in a way that you can't instantly ADS when sliding. So you can't slide and then ADS straight away. You have to wait a little tiny, maybe it's 1 second to ADS, which could be an issue, you know, if you want to rush into challenges in buildings or whatever. I do think this is an alright change. It's not a bad change. Again, you got to get used to it. It took me a few goes to get used to the fact that you can't slide cancel, because I used to do it quite a lot. But there you go. That's a change that's not bad, but it's not really amazing either. Now I'm going to go into weapons. Now, I haven't used all the weapons in the game so far. Again, we still have the second weekend to come, so we have even more weapons to try out come the next weekend. So I'm going to keep this nice short and sweet, and we'll go over it again next weekend. The weapons that we've got so far, some of them feel good. For example, I'm going to bring up the M4 again. I do not like the M4 in this game. The base M4 feels not very good, really. Compared to its predecessor in Modern Warfare 2019, where it was the meta gun all throughout the year, and it is still really, really good in Warzone, it doesn't feel amazing, right? The better version of it may be the Hurricane, which is a great SMG variant, and again, even the other guns where you can have the battle rifle version, things like that, obviously, yeah. Also, other guns, for example, the AK-74U are decent once you get used to them, but, you know, straight away, glaring issues like recoil. The visual recoil in a lot of the weapons does feel like way overtuned. I noticed this on a lot of guns that don't have recoil, like have actual recoil. Their visual recoil is really high, especially for a quite high fire rate weapon, for example LMGs or the Hurricane. The gun bounces about quite a lot, but other guns like the Mark II still feel quite good. Aren't as good as Modern Warfare 2019 in that sense, but it's a nice, you know, the guns do feel a little bit different, but again, they are simply different guns, so yeah. Now we're going to go on to maps. Now, there's only 4 maps in 6v6 right now as we speak. Now, we're going to go through each of them one by one and kind of just not analyze, but, you know, pick out little bits about them, what I like about them, what I feel about them, things like that. Starting with Breamberg. How the hell do you say this? Breamberg Hotel? This has got to be probably the worst map on the game so far. Again, we haven't seen, there'll probably be like 4 or 5 more 6v6 maps, plus the ones that they bring out in Season 1. Breamberg Hotel is really not very good. I really didn't like it. My first game was the worst game I've had in Call of Duty in years. I really didn't enjoy it. There's lots of camping spots. It's way too big for 6v6. It does have an okay flow once you start to understand it in domination and things like that. I'm still on the fence about it. I'm not personally... It's not amazing. It doesn't stand out. It's a cool setting and stuff, but it really doesn't strike me. Now we're going to move on to Valderas Museum. Now again, this is another map I have not played much. I've played maybe 1 or 2 games on this map. It doesn't seem terrible. It actually seems quite fun in terms of it's got lots of open space. It's not fast paced, but it's not slow paced either. It's just kind of fun. It's another good map. I would say it's probably better than most of the maps in Modern Warfare 2019, so that's good. Now we're going to move on to Farm 18. Now Farm 18 is a weird little hybrid kind of map because it's kind of 3-lane, but it's also really not 3-lane. So it's 3-lane, but it's the wrong way. It's not a vertical 3-lane map, kind of like Shoothouse. It's more horizontally laid out, so it's actually, you know, it's wider instead of it being long ways, which is alright. I think that's quite good because it keeps it way more fast paced. The area around B is really fun. What I realized is that if you hold down B, but even by yourself, really just hover around B, people will walk into you. People will walk straight towards you, and it's free kills. It's free money. Again, it's a good map. It's really fun. It's nice and fast paced. The only thing I would say is bad about this map is the spawns are a little bit iffy from time to time. For example, I've had a lot of times where on A, specifically A, I have spawned on the bottom floor of the building next to A, and then people have literally spawned on the top floor or are standing directly outside the door, and I've been killed basically instantly. That's the only issue. Again, that's something that can probably be fine-tuned until the game releases. Now for my favourite map so far in the beta, and will probably be my favourite map until we get something like a shipment or something way more similar to Shoothouse. Mercado Las Almas, I believe, I might have said that wrong. If I have, sorry. This is a great map. It's nice, it's close quarters, it's fast paced, it's still quite big for a close, it's not a shipment, but it is quite close quarters. It's fun, you know, it's fast paced, it's good for the S&D. Clearly I've seen some gameplay on that new mode where it's kind of similar to like a Siege S&D. Really enjoyed playing this. Probably if I was to load up a match and say which map would you want right now, I would pick this map. It does get a lot of kills. It's fun to just flank around the back. There's nice little choke points. One thing I would definitely say, do not go to B. If you go to B, you will die. If you stand directly on B, you are dead because of the fact that you basically are standing not out in the open, but the fact that you have so many, well, you have 2 ways to get sandwiched from, and it's right in the center of the map, and it's just not very good. Now I'm going to move on to the issues. This is the issues in this game that can and maybe will be fixed or maybe won't be fixed. Now there's a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there is a fair few that are super obvious. Maybe there's a few that I haven't gone over. I could probably go over maybe next on there and maybe just realize them, but there you go. I'm going to start with an issue that isn't really something that I've seen a lot, but I have seen it from, for example, Mr. Ruffle Waffles. He's pointed out, and I've seen it plenty of times in my gameplay. There is an issue where people can literally kill you without even looking at you. For example, if you look at a kill cam and then the person like maybe jumps in front of you and then turns to the right and kills you, but on your screen it looks like they're still facing forward or turning way slower. Now the issue with that being is that in obviously Call of Duty Next, they even made a point right at the start, is that now if the gun mechanics and the player mechanics all feel way more combined. Like for example, like when you shoot, the bullets come out of your gun, not just out of that general direction, which doesn't seem to be the case. It might just be a visual glitch, I don't know, but it really should be addressed. It's quite annoying because, again, the amount of times where I have shouted at my screen saying he is not facing me and I am dead is unbelievable. Now we're going to go on to some more prevalent issues. TTK, time to kill, is simply too high. It's not as bad as it was at the start of Modern Warfare 2019, but it is still very high. Sometimes it does feel like I'm literally getting one-tapped, but then sometimes I do feel like it's too slow. It really does depend on the weapon. For example, with the M4 and the battle rifle version of the M4, it feels terrible for me personally. It just feels like you don't kill fast, but then you look at something like the MP5, it's really fast, and it just does feel like you're getting beamed in like 0.1 second and you can't even get a shot off sometimes. So that should be something Infinity Ward have a look at for the next beta. Now we're going to look at another one which everyone will always be an issue now on in Call of Duty, any FPS game, skill-based matchmaking. Now obviously I'm going to whine about this, and I'm not going to whine about the various ways it affects the game like Twitter people do. Skill-based matchmaking is not going away. It will never leave Call of Duty. It is simply too key for Activision and Infinity Ward and Treyarch and Sledgehammer to keep it in the game, to keep a high player base. If they do not have skill-based matchmaking, like they said, people will just get beamed by sweat and then leave instantly. And obviously it happened to me a lot when I was younger. I used to hop onto maybe Halo or Call of Duty, get killed instantly, get like 5 to 12 KD, and then just go, no, this isn't for me, and then leave, and then never play the game ever again. So again, it is an issue because you have one good game where you're just kind of relaxing, chilling, and then suddenly you're thrusted into a game with literally people that play this for a living, and it's really difficult, but it's something that's not going away. So as far as I'm aware, we're just going to have to live with it. Now I'm going to move on to another one, the mini-map. Now the mini-map, this is an issue that was in Modern Warfare 2019 that they did fix in Vanguard and in Cold War. The mini-map does not work like it should. The mini-map should come up with a red dot when someone shoots a gun that is unsuppressed. Now that is not the case in this, and it wasn't the case in Modern Warfare 2019. People did talk about this quite a lot in Modern Warfare 2019. People thought that maybe there was that big overhaul that was going to come and they were going to fix it, and they never did. So that is an issue that will definitely, again, in Infinity Ward games, as we are aware, it will not be going away. That minimap, for whatever reason, won't change. It will not be the way it used to be. I don't know why. It's the really enjoy that compass in the top of your screen. No idea why, but yes, another thing we're going to have to live with. Stop bitching about it. It's not going away. Another one is the footsteps. Now, again, this was an issue in Modern Warfare 2019, fully enough. The footsteps, or the game is quite loud anyways, but the footsteps are ridiculous. It is unbelievable how loud the footsteps are in this game. It sounds like you are having bricks on your shoes. It is ridiculous. It is very loud. All they need to do is just turn them down. It's super simple. Literally just turn the footsteps down. They're way too loud. Now, an issue that's not like a gameplay issue, but it's just about the mode in general, multiplayer. It still feels like an afterthought for Warzone, especially since a lot of COD Next was, obviously a lot of it was actually multiplayer, which was quite good to see. But again, it was all multiplayer because everyone was waiting. Everyone was waiting for Warzone 2.0. Everyone wants to see gameplay of Warzone 2.0. Multiplayer is, it feels like an afterthought. At the moment, again, lots of people are saying it is camo simulator for Warzone. I would rather play multiplayer, if I'm being totally honest, even if it is an afterthought. I would rather play multiplayer than Warzone. I don't like BRs, I don't like the idea of one life situations, I don't like playing search and destroy, anything like that, but I just love running a gun. It's great. Again, the need, especially with this 2 years they have, they need to be pushing multiplayer as much as they are in Warzone. They need to get that player base into multiplayer as much as Warzone, because they cannot just keep on forcing people to play Warzone. Again, Warzone will go through the COD cycle and people will just get bored and bored and more bored, and then Call of Duty will just die. So they need to keep it fresh in multiplayer with new modes, new maps, all sorts. They need to keep it as fresh as possible. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about in this game, and it's not even directed at the game. It's directed at people, like people playing the game and watching the game. I saw a lot on COD Next in the comments during the live of COD Next. If you watched my stream, which no one did, I talked about it there, and it was a lot of people saying it looks and feels the same as Modern Warfare 2019. Literally, what do you expect? From now on, all Call of Duty games will feel exactly like this. Every single game will run on the same engine, which means that all the gunplay and the fundamentals of the game will feel exactly the same. It's not like the old COD games where everyone was running on the T7 engine, the T8 engine, and then running on the IW7 engine, the IW8 engine. It is all the same. Every game from now on will feel the exact same. So it's the same developers, the same engine. Of course it's going to feel similar. It's not like it's going to change massively. That might be an issue going forward due to the fact that it might be, tricky to find variation or whatever. But it's more so about the people. Please stop whining about the fact it's the same as Modern Warfare 2019. It is, I'm not saying this like I know, but it must be very difficult for developers to just change a game when they realized that Modern Warfare 2019 was their biggest selling game in so long because it was brand new. Well, it wasn't brand new. It felt new. It had that idea of it. It was an overhaul of the Call of Duty experience. So why change it, That's what they're thinking. From a developer point of view and from a money point of view, it is not going to feel much different from now on. So just get it in your head that it will not change that much. So please, stop whining about it on Twitter, stop whining about it on Reddit, stop whining about it on live streams. It is always going to feel the same. And that's my overview of Modern Warfare 2's beta on the PlayStation. Again, next week I will probably have, not a video similar to this, but another video just talking about how it feels and how I think the game will go into the first weekend of the actual game releasing next October. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time where we talk more Modern Warfare 2.